Welcome to Trust Lab Colloquium. So we are very happy to have Dr. Chethan Kamanth today. Chethan is a postdoc at Tel Aviv University, and before that he did a PhD at IST Austria with Shishov Pichak, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And he already gave a talk in February here in the department, but this is new work since then, so he'll be telling us about batch proofs.
Thanks, Manoj. Thanks for the invitation. And yeah, glad to be here. Okay. So if something is unclear at any point, please interrupt me. It's probably because I'm going too fast. Yeah. Okay. So this talk is about interactive protocols. So in interactive protocols, you have a prover P, a verifier V, and the prover is trying to convince the verifier of some statement. And you have the standard notions of completeness and soundness, and what we are interested in are some other extra requirements on top that some of them Shruti talked about. So we are interested in some properties called succinctness, which just says that the proof should be small, and hiding, which says that the proof should not reveal information about what the prover is trying to convince. I'll define everything more formally, but on a very high level, our result says it's a connection between succinctness, which is one notion, and hiding. So yeah, so this is a very high level overview of our result. And yeah, so I'll first explain what batch proofs are, and then I'll discuss a form of hiding called statistical witness indistinguishability, SWI for short. And yeah, I'll then tell you what was known to be batched or not. And yeah, in the second part of the talk, the main part of the talk, I'll talk about the main result, which says that if you have succinctness in the form of batching, then you have hiding in the form of SWI. So I'll spend a lot of time explaining how you get it, and yeah, and in the final part of the talk, we will talk about crypto. So up till now, there is no crypto at all. So this is all information theoretic, and here you'll talk about crypto. So the same tools essentially can be used to get results both in crypto and information theoretic world. Yeah. Okay, so let's start with the background, right? So that we are on the same page. So we talk about interactive protocols. There's a prover P and verifier V, and they know some statement X, and so we will be in a setting where the prover is efficient and it's given a witness W. For concreteness, you can think of three coloring. So you are given the statement is a graph, and a witness is a three coloring of the graph, which is a coloring which satisfies some constraints. The definition is not important. And the prover wants to verify the prover wants to convince the verifier that he knows the three coloring of this graph, and he does so by interacting with the verifier. So if the verifier's messages are just like random coins, then we say that the protocol is interactive, is public coin. And yeah, so at the end of the interaction, the verifier accepts or rejects. So what are the requirements? I talked about completeness. It says that if the statement is in the language, and then the verifier should accept with high probability. This is all basic interactive proofs. And for soundness, you have that when interacting with the malicious prover, it should not be able to convince the verifier of a false statement. So we classify between proofs and arguments. And in proofs, the prover is all powerful, the malicious prover is all powerful, and in the argument setting, the malicious prover is computationally bounded. So this is again interactive proofs 101. So yeah, so so like if you look at the problem here, you'll realize that so this, like there's a trivial interactive protocol for this problem. Like the prover can just send the coloring to the verifier. So things become non-trivial when you talk about like extra properties like succinctness and hiding that I'll talk about. So let's look at succinctness. So like on an intuitive level, it just says that the amount of communication from the prover to the verifier should be limited. And we are interested in succinctness for a particular type of interactive protocols, which are known as batch protocols. So batch protocol is simply an interactive protocol for the product language. So you like given a language L, think of again 3 coloring. The batch protocol for L is just an interactive protocol for L to the T. So the statements that are in the language are all X's that are in L. So like the interactive protocol looks like follows. So the prover and the verifier, they know T instances, X1 up to Xt, and the prover also holds T witnesses, W1 up to Wt. They interact, and in the end, the verifier accepts or rejects, and then you have the requirements. So here the requirement would be the prover, for completeness, the verifier should accept if all the statements are in the language. And then there is soundness, which says that even if one of the statements in this set is not in the language, then the verifier should reject with high probability. So again, depending on whether it's talking to a all-powerful prover or a computationally bounded prover, you get arguments or proofs. Okay, so what is succinctness for batch protocols? So you want the communication, which is highlighted in yellow here, to be at most rho times T. So where rho is this compression factor. Yeah. So like for the talk, you can think of like the size of the witness being small, the number of instances being a lot, and then you can think of the compression factor being, say, 1 over square root T. Yeah, so it's crucial to limit the power of the honest prover here.
For my question, so I mean, if I'm playing the interactive game,
yeah,
for 3 coloring on the same graph, then I leak some information.
So you're looking at the batch protocol where all the instances are the same, is it?
Yeah. So you don't want to do that, just ask me.
So it should still make sense in that setting. So what do you mean by leaking? Does it become trivial, you mean?
No, for example, as far as zero knowledgeness goes, like if I use the same graph, correct me if I'm wrong.
So we haven't talked about zero knowledge like here yet. So this is just succinctness. Yeah. There's no like knowledge at the moment.
I think what you might be wondering about is within the protocol there might be things about change the coloring, change the coloring. We are not worried about that. Like, here, even if all of those instances are the same, you just get sound doesn't have data.
Right. Okay. So yeah, so it's important to limit the power of the honest prover to be computationally bounded here, because if the honest prover is unbounded, then you actually have via IP equals P space a succinct interactive proof. So the details are not important, but like on a very high level. So for this problem, there is an algorithm which solves this problem where the space complexity grows like logarithmically in T, and this implies that via IP equals P space that there is a interactive protocol where the communication is also logarithmic in T. Okay, so any questions about batching? Okay. So if the honest prover is unbounded, the claim is that there is a interactive protocol for this problem via IP equals P space theorem. So why? So this problem is something that you can solve in space that grows logarithmically in T.
One after the other. Just
Yeah, and like so this implies that the communication, there is if you use the
Think of t as something exponential, and then you have to again fall down this way.
so think of any t.
Yeah,
So
in log t space.
yeah, you can do it. Yeah, and this implies that if you look at the yeah. Yeah, yeah.
So log poly log t.
Yeah. So and that is already succinct.
But just to confirm, we can achieve a small compression rate. The prover is allowed to be on board.
Sorry.
We can achieve a small compression rate.
Yeah.
The prover is allowed to be on board.
Right. Right. Like yeah. Does that make sense, Manoj? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is like the first half of the equation, batch proofs. And so the second property we are interested in is like hiding. That's what you were talking about, zero knowledge. So like Shruti talked a lot about zero knowledge. So we are interested in a weaker notion of hiding called witness indistinguishability. Okay, so it's just a different way of framing whether information about the witness is hidden. Okay, so what is witness indistinguishability, or WI for short? So again, you have the same setting: prover, verifier. They hold a common X and the witness, and so we will be for this talk thinking about honest verifiers. So these are verifiers which stick to the protocol, but still try to learn something about the witness. And to define witness indistinguishability, it's useful to define the view of the verifier. So the view of the verifier is essentially whatever the verifier sees in this interaction. So the instance, the messages, and also its coins. Okay, and witness indistinguishability says, WI says that for any instance X and witnesses W0, W1, the views, the distribution of the views when the prover and verifier interact with X and W0, and the prover and verifier interact with X and W1, they are indistinguishable. Okay, this is what this says, and we want like this indistinguishability hold in a strong manner. So we are talking about statistical indistinguishability here. So like these views are like statistically close. So this is a weaker notion than like statistical zero knowledge. Right. Because like here you could like reveal things about the witness, like, but still be, witness indistinguishable. I'll come to an example. Yeah. Sorry.
The way to think about it is in efficient simulation. Here you're working on efficiency.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, so like going back to the previous example, like the views when you use like one coloring and another coloring, these should be like statistically close. So again, so this becomes the problem of like WI becomes trivial when the prover is unbounded. Like, anyone see why? Right, exactly. So you can send the first witness, and it's WI, but it's not like zero knowledge. Like again. Okay. So yeah. So like these were the two like notions we are interested in, and so we are interested in like relating these two notions. So let's first see what can be batched. So we looked at NP. If we don't know anything for NP, but for UP, so which is the subclass of NP, where if an instance is in the language, then it has unique witnesses. Then prior works showed how to batch, and like UP contains like interesting problems related to factoring, for example. And yeah, so we knew like batch proofs for UP. And for NP, when you want to go to NP, we know batch arguments. So if you are willing to like relax soundness, then we know how to batch like NP witnesses. Like if you want to like batch like circuit set instances, then you can do, and you can even do it in like a non-interactive manner. So this is what are called barks. So we know barks for NP from like standard cryptographic assumptions, but we don't know anything for proofs for NP. People have been looking at it like for long, like Ron has been looking at it for like ages, but we still don't know anything.
Non-interactive, are you always interested in non-interactive, or just here?
So like for proofs like interactive, we don't know even like interactive.
So you mentioned all this recent work for non-interactive batch arguments. Were there interactive batch arguments before?
Okay, good question. So whether we knew interactive batch arguments. So interactively, you for like UP, you could do proofs. So interactive proofs, batch proofs.
Batch, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you can do batch
Proofs, yeah. For NP, we didn't know, like, so we had to relax to arguments. Yeah.
So this positive result is for NP, right?
This is for NP, yes.
So if it was interactive, you can even get batch proofs. And that's much earlier.
So we know batch proofs,
okay.
interactive batch proofs for UP, not for NP.
So what batch arguments?
For NP.
No, but interactive batch arguments.
So yeah, so interactive batch arguments. So here we can do. Right.
I'm just asking, like, is it
Not that,
yeah.
not that I'm aware of. Yeah. Yeah. Arguments like there's Killian's protocol, and it's succinct. So it's snark, right? So if you have, you can do snarks. Snarks imply barg. So you can do snarks if you.
It's in the macro argument.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess I did not. Like, is there a difference between like batch proofs and batch arguments?
So in batch arguments, the soundness holds under computational assumptions. So like batch proofs are stronger because like yeah. Okay, so what we looked at was the flip question. So what if you assume batch? So one more thing. So there were actually very strong negative results for a related problem called instance compression. So in instance compression, you are given T instances and you want to compress into like a single instance. So you are given like a graph, T graph graphs. You want to combine them into a single graph such that if if the resulting graph is colorable, then all the other graphs should also be colorable. Yeah, and there were like strong negative results for NP. So you cannot instance compress NP.
Even if you are like changing the language.
Yes, as far as I know, yes. So yeah, so you witness. So batch proofs can be thought of as witness compression. So instance compression is not possible here. Yeah, so in this work, what we did was we asked the flip question. So assume you can batch NP statements. So then what happens?
But batch proof is not only doing witness compression, like in some sense it also has to do instance compression because there are T instances.
The verifier is allowed to
See the instances, yeah. Right. So yeah, so what happens if you can batch NP statements? That's what we asked. And what we showed is that if you can batch NP, then you can actually show statistical SWI proofs for NP. And so it can be shown that SWI is in NP. It makes syntactically sense to talk about SWI only for witnesses. So this is kind of contained in here, and what we showed is that a conditional containment the other way. So if batch proofs exist, then NP is contained in SWI. You can define like a class SWI similar to class SDK. But there are some caveats here, which we'll get to later. So this was like, so this star. So this star means NP has batch proofs.
All of
NP, any NP complete language, let's say.
Every language which has a batch proof is an SWI, or if all of NP has batch proofs, then all of NP.
So you can talk about NP, any NP complete language. So suppose that it, yeah.
No, I'm just asking. Suppose like some NP language which is not NP complete. Suppose that is a batch proof. Can you say it will be SWI? Is it like a thing, or is it
I think you can, but I'll have to check. I think it's possible.
But you will be working with an NP complete.
Yeah, yeah, right. I think that holds, but I'll need to double check. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so we show like a conditional containment, but there are some caveats. So yeah, so this result can be seen both as a positive and negative result. So I'll tell you later, a bit later, why this can be seen as a negative result. But as like a positive result, we show that if you have non-interactive batch arguments for NP, then you have like non-interactive SWI arguments for NP. So, and there are no caveats here. So like, yeah, bargs imply NI SWI. That's what we show. And you can get it to NI SZK as well. So this is like the second main result. So there are some results in the interactive argument setting, but like, let's just focus on these two.
So, I mean, like, I guess I need to understand these objects like well. You argue that SWI is contained in NP.
SWI can be shown to be in NP.
So then, if you like, I'm wondering about the content of the first result. That there are batch proofs for NP. Like then, oh, I see.
NP is contained in SWI. It's the other way around. Yeah, it's a conditional equivalence. Yeah. Okay, so this is our these are our main results. Okay, yes. So like yeah, I'll tell you like how we get this. So let's first state what we get like a bit more formally. So what we show is that if you have a public coin batch proof for L to the T with compression rho, then you get a public coin honest-verifier SWI proof for L. So yeah, so it does not need to be like NP complete. So anything, yeah.
And you need public coins.
Think you can relax it in some setting, but yeah, let's talk about public coin. Yep. But yeah, as I said, there are some caveats. Okay, so the soundness is good, like it's negligible, like the error can be made negligible. But the witness WI error, right? This is like the statistical distance between the two worlds. So this is we can only get it to be inverse polynomial. So we don't get it negligible, we get it inverse polynomial. And like the second caveat is that the prover is non-uniform. So we really use non-uniformity to show this result. Yeah. And yeah, so you can use prior works to get it to like malicious verifier SWI proof. Yeah. But yeah, so I was like I told you like that this can be viewed as a negative result, and I'll like explain why. So the reason is to do with this class called SZK. So this is the class of problems which have like which can be proved in statistical zero knowledge. So SZK, it was shown that NP cannot be contained in SZK by prior works of Fortno and Aiello Hoistad. And like yeah, it was shown that if NP is contained in SZK, then the hierarchy collapses. And we believe that SWI is not much stronger than SZK. And so therefore, if like this is, if NP is contained in SWI, then there's probably something going wrong with it. So like yeah, so you can interpret this result as saying that NP is unlikely to have batch proofs for this reason, to do with SZK. Any questions, Manoj?
Why is it that when I why do you believe SWI and SCK is not part? And there may be a
Yep. There could be, but that's what some people believe. Some people who have worked a lot on this believe. So this is my first paper on SCK SWI, so I have no intuition. Okay.
I had one more.
Mm-hmm.
Are there some class for which you know that it is contained in SWI, but you don't know yet that it is SCK? So for instance, NP intersect would be
Something in SZK, something in SWI minus SZK.
yeah.
So I think we know some concrete problems, but not anything general. I think, yeah. I think there are some concrete problems. Yeah.
So people would believe that they are the same class, but think an SZK can be found for those languages?
So maybe I'm confusing things. I'll take it back. So I don't know. I don't know.
I don't think during your statement that if they are equal, maybe there are no known instances, known languages.
Again?
I mean, my impression from what you said is that maybe there is no language that's known to be in this SWI.
Right.
Difference as it's known to be in SWI, but not yet.
So we don't know yet that NP intersect would be in SWI as well, right? I know that it's not, we don't know yet.
NP intersection co-NP is in?
SWI, we don't know that that's right. It's yet not shown.
Right. We don't know, I think, yeah. So we know containment the other way around. AM intersection coem contains SZK. I think that's what we know. Okay. Yeah, so I'll spend the rest of the talk telling you how you get this. So these were the results, these are the techniques. So yeah, so you are given a batch protocol by PV, and you want to construct a SWI protocol by prime, P prime, V prime. So we'll make a simplifying assumption. So we'll assume that the protocol is non-interactive for this talk. So you can think of the prover being like a randomized function, depending on the statements, and it's and the witnesses. So yeah, so the prover, it takes the T instance witness pairs and spits out a proof, and it's a randomized prover, and the guarantee is that because it's a batch protocol, the output is is shorter than the input. Yeah, so it's not very difficult to go to the interactive setting. So the intuition why this holds is the following. So since P is compressing, so the prover is in some sense losing information about the input, and this is what we will exploit to show SWI, witness indistinguishability, and the soundness and correctness of the underlying protocol, it kind of translates nicely to the soundness and completeness of the SWI protocol. So yeah, so this is the interesting part. Okay, so yeah, so let's try to construct a SWI protocol from a batch protocol. Yeah, so here the prover P prime, the verifier P prime, they know an instance X, yeah? and the prover knows a witness W, and they want to construct a batch protocol for this. Yeah. So let's see what we can do. So what do we have? So we have a compressing prover, right, which spits out proofs, and we need to feed it inputs, instance statement, instance witness pairs. So let's assume that there is some efficiently sampleable distribution D bar, which gives you instance witness pairs of length T. Yeah. So yeah, so what does the prover P prime do? It samples a T tuple, it feeds it to the prover, you get a proof, right? So yeah, so before that, so what it does is it embeds like the given instance in, let's say, the first location. Yeah. And yeah, so then it gets a proof. So the prover sends like all the instances to the verifier along with the proof. The verifier simply invokes the underlying verifier v with the first instance being x. Yeah. Yeah, and then it just mimics the underlying prover. So yes, so just embed like the given instance in the first location, and
Probably don't want it to be in first location.
right. So like the hint is like first attempt. So let's see where things go wrong. So completeness and soundness, it can, you know, it can be argued based on the on that of pi. So let's see like quickly why. So suppose that XW is in the language. So we know that these instances are all in the language. So when you embed it here, it's still everything is in the language, all the instances. So therefore you reduce to the completeness of pi. So for soundness, suppose that this is like not in the language, XW is not in the language, then like this is also not in the batch language. Therefore you reduce to like the soundness of pi. So the question is, what goes wrong when you try to argue SWI?
First W.
Exactly. So like there could be like a prover, right, which just dumps the first witness, and you don't have like WI anymore. Yeah? But like yeah, so there is something here. So like, what is the next natural step to do? Like instead of embedding in the first position, you embed in a random position, right? So like the prover, like P prime, samples like a random location J and embeds it there.
Do you have any assumptions on this distribution? And what I'm thinking is that
Mm-hmm.
you know, this witness distribution should work for a random x, right?
Mm-hmm.
Suppose the distribution is such that, say, you know, there are some peculiar x's which are already unlikely. If I see that particular x, I put that.
Right. So distribution is important. So we'll like this is like the what we will discuss like in a few slides. You have to pick it.
This definition of witness indistinguishability does not involve any distribution, right?
No, it's like it's worst case.
It's worst case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that a difficulty you need to resolve?
Right. That is like one of the technical difficulties. Like coming up with the protocol is kind of straightforward. Like, the hard part is to analyze it. Yeah.
And right now your distribution,
I haven't talked to anything about it. I will like talk about it. Yeah. That is like the technical work. Yeah. So yeah. So the protocol is like just like before, and you can argue completeness and soundness just like before, and yeah. So there intuitively it seems like we have like SWI because like P is compressing. So P in some sense cannot remember everything about like all the witnesses. So there is in some sense SWI. So yeah, so the question is like, how do you fix this distribution D? Yeah. How much time do I have? 10 minutes? Okay.
even more.
Okay.
Finishing 4.
Okay, that should be sufficient. Okay, so we want to fix this distribution D. So what is it exactly? So we want to show that for every P, there exists a distribution D bar, such that for every instance witness pairs, like XW0, W1, we have witness indistinguishability. Yeah. So just to recall, so like what does the view look like here? So the view consists of the statements, the index, and the proof. Yeah. So we want to show that there exists such a D. So like just for like sanity check, if you flip the order of quantifiers, if you want to say for all x there exists a D, then it becomes trivial. So it really is like SWI becomes trivial because you can just give the witness. So it is really important to like have like a universal distribution like that works for all instances.
Is this the distribution over decision trees?
Sorry.
The view would just be a distribution over decision
So what are like distinct?
The view that the verifier has. Like on any specific, it's just going to be distribution over decision trees.
So what do you mean distribution over?
It's probably messages that were sent to the verifier and its own private
Messages are adaptive.
messages are adaptive. You're saying thing of it as a path in the tree.
Yes.
I see. Okay.
That path in the protocol tree is plus the local randomness.
Right.
And yeah, so if you stare at it, for a bit, like the challenge is like dealing with like worst case WI. So like so you want to show that for every P there exists a D. But what could happen is that there are these pathological provers which have like these instances embedded, and the prover, when it sees this hard-coded instance, it could just spit out the witnesses, and you don't have WI. So like when you stare at it at first, it seems like there is no hope, But if you stare at it a bit more, you will see that you'll end up seeing that if you fix the pathological prover, if you know that you are dealing with the pathological prover, then there exists a distribution. And so what is this distribution? Let's look at this distribution. So the distribution is like you take like the instance and two witnesses. You make like T copies of it, and then the instances are like the same instances, and the witness you choose like uniformly at random, like from either X, W0 or W1. Okay, so WI is W raised to PI. So you choose either W0 or W1. So
I'm thinking of a little more pathological prover, right? Hard-coded into it is X, but also something about W, like some predicate on W. If it gets W and such as that, it will reveal that. Your distribution will have to pick. So your distribution is fixed. It can depend on whatever is fixed inside the prover, but there are many witnesses. Right? So I'm sure you'll have to deal with all this. Maybe so would you? Okay, maybe.
yeah, I think we show it for any prover. Yeah, so like a similar trick works for any prover. That's what you'll show. So it doesn't matter what it does internally.
Witness indistinguishability, the statistical difference, it does grow non-negligibly.
It depends on the shrinking, yes.
Yeah.
So the more the shrinking, then the better the WI is, which is like intuitively, yeah. So the distribution is like clear, right? So it just samples like one of the two witnesses at random, and intuitively, the prover cannot recall all the bits, decision bits, and therefore there is intuitively WI. Yeah. And so it seems if you fix the prover, then this pathological prover, then there is some hope. But like what about, like as Manoj was asking, arbitrary provers? And that's what we will see next. And to show this, we rely on a really nice compression lemma of Dell and Drucker, which was introduced in the context of instance compression. So what does this lemma says? So it says that for any compressing, so this is an information theoretic statement. So for any compressing function g, which shrinks by a factor rho, take a look at the output distribution of g over random uniformly random input, but with like a jth position fixed to 0, where j is again chosen at random. So you pick like uniform random input, random index, fix it to 0 or 1, and look at the output distribution. And the lemma says that these two distributions are statistically close. So like a bit more pictorially, so you take the compressing function, pick a random j, random input, fix the jth bit to 0 instead of the actual bit. And so this is indistinguishable from the case where the input is fixed to 1. yeah, so what we'll do is we'll use this lemma to show WI for fixed input witnesses, and it's not very hard to see. So suppose you want to show that for X W0 W1 you want to show like for any prover like there exists like a D. Like what does it do? You just do like before to pick like one of the inputs or one of the witnesses depending on the B, but for the jth position you fix it to like either 0 or 1, and the lemma tells you that these two cases are indistinguishable. Yeah, so any questions here?
So you cannot yet directly apply this lemma because this distribution depends on W0. Yeah, maybe you can tell us what your distribution looks like.
So like the distribution is so which?
No, I'm saying here, if you think of directly using this to say in your protocol there's a distribution D. That's not quite this.
No, not yet. Yeah, not yet. But like this is like if you fix.
This depends on W0.
Yes. So this is like the quantifiers are flipped. Yeah. And yeah, so like the previous argument it actually gives you more. So fix any distribution on instance witness pairs, you still have like a guarantee, like a similar guarantee. So previously we argued for worst case instance witness pair. Now we are saying for a distribution of over the instance witness pair, you have like a similar guarantee. No, the argument is like similar, right? So yeah, so what would we show? We use the compression lemma to show that for every prover, if you fix the distribution over input witness pairs, then there exists like a distribution such that the views are close. But that is not quite what we want. So we want to show that there exists a distribution D bar for any input witness pairs. And any guesses how we go from here to here? Yes, but like exactly the tool. A minimax theorem. So we like go from here to here using minimax theorem. So I think I'll skip the details because I'm running out of time and I want to talk a bit about our arguments. But yeah, but like essentially, like you can go from like you can flip this quantifier by like correctly characterizing this this problem as a game, and then like the minimax theorem helps you.
This paper is not from 2020. It's one
You don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, we need like a sparse version of minimax, but we essentially flip it using minimax. So maybe like let's recap what we just saw. So yeah, so we wanted to show that batching implies WI, and what we did was we wanted this distribution D so that we can like sample and embed, right? And what we did first was reduce, like flip the order of quantifiers using minimax, and then use this compression lemma to argue like that the distance is still low. Okay, so yeah, so that was proofs. Now I'll like briefly talk about like. Sorry.
What is the sparseness?
So the minimax theorem, right? It gives you the support over the strategies, right? That it gives you. It can be exponentially large. So we want like a succinct advice, right? So you need. Yeah, you need like sparse. You pay a bit, but it's, yeah. So yeah, so I'll talk about like the crypto world now. Like I'll talk about like the second result mainly, which says that if you have like non-interactive batch arguments or bargs with like some extra property, then you have non-interactive SWI arguments. You can get it to NIZK arguments as well. Okay. And yeah, so what do we do here? And yeah, so like notice that there are no caveats here. So here there is no non-uniformity. There is no poly WI error. So we get like everything that one would need. And like yeah, so how do we do it? So the idea is not to apply minimax, because that's where you get non-uniformity. So you don't apply minimax, and then using this bars you construct distributional NIZK arguments. This we saw like it's the same steps but without the minimax. You get like distributional from a distribution. Yeah, yeah. And so you can adapt. So to go from distributional to worst case, you can adapt the construction of growth Ostrowski-Sahai. And yeah, so this is like a cute local to global trick going on here, but yeah. And then so we still have like so if you recall like the compression lemma, when you apply it, you still have only inverse poly WI error. So if you want to go to like negligible WI error, then you have to do like some amplification, privacy amplification, and this you can do using, if you assume lossy PKE. So like what we show is that if you have bargs and lossy PKE, then you get NIZK arguments. So this improves on a recent work that's going to appear at Crypto. So there was a paper by Champion and Wu, which showed that if you have bargs, lossy PKE, and sub-exponentially hard PRGs, then you get computational NIZKs. So what we show is that you don't need this assumption, but you still get statistical zero knowledge. So it improves like this result by like twofold. And yeah, so we additionally also show that if you have just a barg with like an additional assumption, then you can actually construct like lossy PK from this, and therefore you get bargs imply NIZK arguments. So you can go to like once you are in computational land, you can go from WI to zero knowledge using like FLS tricks. Yeah, you have to be careful, but like it goes through. Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so that was our results in Cryptoland. So like, what are like some of the open questions? So it would be really nice to get rid of the caveats like in the batch proof setting. We managed to get rid of it in the argument setting, but not in the non-interactive argument setting, but not in the proof setting. So that's like the first open question, which is interesting. And yeah, so what I found more interesting is like understanding SWI as a class. So we know SZK like pretty well as a class, but like SWI, people haven't like really thought about it, it seems. Yeah. And yeah, so like for example, does it have a complete problem? Is it equal to NP? Like we don't know. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, there were people online. No. I don't think there are any questions. Hmm.